Cleveland says hello. Hello. And I've got an echo. I'm playing with my new mic. All right, I got echoes coming from everywhere. Yeah, check it out. Coming down from the top. There's my new mic. Woohoo! The boom's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it's still a good boom. Yeah, and then I've got a new light coming, and I've got a new chair coming. Don't you dare call me a boomer. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So, hold on. I'm going to go get some coffee, but I will be right back. Yeah, I'm going to get the ring light. Yeah, I've realized because of my screen and my monitors, well, not so much now because I have a blue background on my screens, and it's been giving me it's given me a sort of like a Smurf tintage. Smurf tintage. Is tintage a word? Is tintage a word? A Smurf tintage. Anyway, I was blue. But yeah, I'm an artsy Smurf. Artsy Smurf. Oh, hey, by the way, Kyron, Wednesday night on my Dyson Sphere stream, the Civ show raided me. So I'm like sitting there playing Dyson Sphere and kind of minding my own business, just doing a random just night of like I'm leaving Wednesday night for sort of playing other games other than Civ, and for now it's Dyson Sphere. But I'm sitting there and I look up, and all of a sudden I have 31 people on my channel and in my chat room, and it's the Civ show, and yeah. So then all of a sudden I had to entertain 31 people. Tintage is a good word. Um, The Sound of Wishes. Meet Kyron. Kyron, this is The Sound of Wishes. Sound of Wishes is a great friend of mine up in New England. And Kyron is one of my really good friends. We play Civilization on Saturday nights. And he is one of our first game testers. So, oh yeah, so it went really well. I ended up keeping for about I ended up streaming for about 4 hours, and I had at the end of it I had about 7 people still in the chat room and still watching, and Zozo from the Civ show, he ended up watching for about 2 hours. He had me like finally 2 hours later he says bye. And I'm like, wow, he had been watching that whole time. So cool. But yeah, they're gonna have a really tonight. I'm gonna be tuning into their show tonight. I think it starts at 8 o'clock Eastern time. But they're having a another guest player on with them, and they're doing a special campaign that is supposed to be a surprise for the 3 Civ Show guys. So I'm gonna kind of tune in to it and check it out. How's the move going? Is the move going okay? Ah. Kitchen? Yeah. Kitchen's always one of those important ones that you want to kind of do first. Just a real quick test. How does my voice? Can you hear me okay? Is my voice coming through clear? I'm still working out this new mic. Okay, awesome. A good mic makes a lot of difference. I like my voice a lot better when it comes through a really good compressor mic. I was having difficulty listening to myself with the other mic. I was like, that's not how I sound. Thank you. But I'm starting on a new card today, Kyron. I'm starting up on Shake Up. Yeah, listening to yourself is quite an experience. By the way, I'm using my Han Solo mug. Look at me. I'm like putting the mug up to the microphone so that you can see it. No, not at all. Not at all, man. This is just my setup because I'm trying to be more professional, especially for the Arcane, like these Arcane Arena and the Arcane Arena streams. I'm trying to up the game a little bit. So it's hard to believe. I've been doing this a year now. I was actually already moving into Twitch when the pandemic hit, so I didn't jump because of the pandemic. It's just, the pandemic kind of made it more front and center. Yeah, that was quite a year. It's been quite a year. I feel like it's taken about a year to get used to just talking to an audience on Twitch, where I feel comfortable. It's funny, like I'll sit here where there's nobody in the room and I'll think of all of this wonderful stuff to say, but then when people come into the chat room, I'm like, I don't know what to say. So it's been a journey. It always is, and I'm enjoying it. I love being on Twitch. Not because I like being able to see myself on screen. I hate seeing myself on screen. Which is probably one of the most uncomfortable things that I've done in a long time, where it's really pushed my character, really pushed who I am and pushed my envelope. Shake Up. Shake Up is the one that will take off an attachment. Like if somebody throws the sleep card on you or entangle card on you, or attaches a card to you, Shake Up is the one that will remove that card. So I want to kind of give you a little bit of a walkthrough. It's some of the cards are meant are a sequence with each other. Like Uncanny Dash leads into the scene in Fireball. With this one, it starts with Deflect. And with Deflect, hold on, I got the I'm playing the the soundtrack to Arrival in the background just because I love listening to it in the background. Um, okay. So, oh, that would hurt people. I might get hurt if I do that one. Rick roll somebody with the game. Know what we should do? We should have a giant picture of Rick Ocasek in the box. As you open the box, there's a picture of Rick Ocasek there. That would be epic. That would be really, really epic. I would love to see that. But it starts with deflect. And in deflect is when you're being targeted with a spell. And the spell comes at you and you deflect it onto somebody else. And this is more used in multiplayer. But in this case, this character is deflecting the entangle spell at this character. And then that leads to the entangle card. Like that. And then with Shakeup's going to be this character shaking the tree off. So like basically behind him, the tree's going to shatter into pieces. And I want to kind of play a little like I'm throwing some Easter eggs into this artwork to see if people notice, but I want to throw, since you are all watching this, does this pose look familiar to you? I want to see if you can figure this out. Does this pose look familiar to you? Mm-mm. Here, let me show you. Let me check it out. Watch the screen. It's Neo! So, like, I'm doing that, you know, like, just to kind of like throw some a little bit like sort of fun behind the artwork and just to see if people catch on, throwing these little Easter eggs in there. So, but I'm just kind of using it as a guide. And now, yeah, so basically this is how I start. I mean, I get really just rough with it. I'm just very raw with the artwork. I work in layers, so it's a lot easier to just go fast and just this because I feel like to give the energy that I want to the cards like this. There's a quick rawness to my sketching. It's not like if I was using Adobe Illustrator, it would be very, very hard lined, very vector oriented. You know, I'm approaching this artwork digitally, but as an oil painter, and you know, trying to capture the energy that I put into my oil paintings onto this card, which I'm hoping gives it a very different look than what people are used to in sort of game art or card art. But and then what I'll do is, let's see, where's his best face? So I'm going to come in here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this head, and then I'm going to come over to Shake Up. And then I am going to rotate this. And scale it up a bit. That should be it. So that's the quick, easy way to do it. Then um, than having to draw it again. One of the things that I'm struggling with is I'm having trouble with the characters looking like I'm not a big character artist, so this has been a huge challenge for me. Doing a lot of character design and character artwork, and it probably would have been better to develop the characters and the look of the characters before I started doing the artwork, because the characters kind of evolved as I moved through the artwork. And because of that, with evolution, there's mutations and changes that happen, and now I'm having to kind of go back and make sure that all of the cards all work out the same. They all look like the characters look the same. So, but one of the ways that I'm doing that to make sure that I'm keeping a sense of consistency is, as I'm moving into new cards, and believe it or not, there's only 6 cards left, Kyron. There's 6 cards left in well, 5 after this one. So actually, this one's kind of composed, so there's only 5 cards left to compose, and about 2 more of them I've got ideas, and then 3 of them I'm still trying. They're starting to come. So I'm hoping by the end of next week, all of the cards will have some form of artwork on it. I'll give you a quick little peek at where is it? I reworked First Aid. This is First Aid. So this one came Friday, and it's been a year journey. The plan is to launch in the spring with the Kickstarter. I am aiming for the spring equinox to finish the artwork. Or at least have it ready to go. Anything beyond the spring equinox is just going to be sort of icing on the cake sort of stuff, where we might just be in a sort of waiting pattern to be able to get the print. Like the cards will be done when we go to print, pretty much. So, we are aiming to kickstart in the spring, and I'm ready to move on from it. I am happy that we ended up pushing until the spring, because I'm gonna be more comfortable having all of the artwork done for the Kickstarter rather than having some artwork done. Because this way, I feel like I would be able to get out there and promote the game. If I have to do artwork while we're running the Kickstarter, all my focus is going to be on the artwork, and I'm not going to be able to help promote the game. And I want to be able to be there to promote the game. I'm about to we're about to completely rework and reorganize the rule book. So yes, we are going to need some help with the proofreading again. We've gotten a lot of feedback from the rule book, and reading the rule book is more complex than actually playing the game. I mean, I would hate to have learned how to play this game by reading the rule book. Because the real way to learn the game is to have somebody walk you through a round. And the moment that you walk you through a round, you pick it up like that. I mean, you get the gist of it. Reading the rule book is hard because you got to try to put that all in a linear expression. And what I'm wanting to do is I want to make the rule book sort of like a graphic novel, where there's artwork in the rule book with the characters from the cards. And we're using that to kind of help people introduce people to the gameplay. So I felt like that will be a little bit different. You know, our, you know, we sort of did the rule book based on the rule book for a game called Small World, and that's kind of dated because it's an old the way that they used to do in board games, the way they used to do rule books maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and now it's evolved a little bit. So you know, my idea for the rule book is I want to make it like a bit of an experience that helps you draw you into the world and helps explain the gameplay, rather than feeling like you're reading a computer program manual. Too many words. But I want to just kind of give you an example of how far I've come. When I first started doing the artwork for this game about 16 months ago, it took me maybe about a month. Like I was just learning how to do digital artwork and digital painting. And so it was like learning a whole new process, a whole new interface to the computer. And then on top of that, doing character art, which was my weakness. So it was like all of these things that I was not good at starting this project. So it took about a month to get even a decent sketch for the first card. This Friday, after like 16 months of doing this, I was able to knock out this image in about 2 hours. So from a month down to 2 hours, you know, is my improvement from where I was when I started this project to where I am in now. And it's been a good exercise in really just upping my illustration game. Hold on a second. Just hold on just 1 second.
At Casper, we're delivering better sleep to homes everywhere.
Stop it.
With a mattress so supportive and comfortable, it was awarded Best Overall Mattress by US News. So, wherever home is for you, now's your chance to let great sleep be a part of it. Join nearly 2 million Casper customers and save up to...
That's not what I wanted. All right, hold on 1 second. I'm pulling up something. I do not like how YouTube is set up. YouTube is so not user-friendly. I don't like... Where do I get my... See, here's the thing that I have a problem with YouTube. It's like we have an Arcane Arena YouTube channel, and I want to get the good link to it, but it's like it adds all of these characters in here. It's just not a... YouTube is just not very clean. I hate it. I hate YouTube. I hate YouTube. But try that link. That link should take you to our YouTube channel. I'm gonna need to clean that up a little bit, but yeah, I'm gonna look at that later. But you know, one of the issues that I have, you know, all these different websites have so many, all different ways of doing things and linking things, and it just, you know, trying to sort of navigate all of them and trying to remember when you need to send something to somebody really, really quickly, trying to remember where it is. All right, cool. Yeah, so all of our gameplays on Friday nights and all of the art sessions are now being uploaded to YouTube moving forward. So, you know, and we have our promo video. Let me go ahead and, well, let's see. We got 5 people in the chat room, so I'm going to go ahead and let me... All right, in the chat room, there is the link to our Arcane Arena promo video. So, you know, the hard part about streaming is all the little finicky stuff, like getting the links correct in the chat room and making sure everything is linked up. It gets to be a headache sometimes. But anyway, to answer that question, yes, we have a YouTube channel. Everything that we do on this on our Twitch now gets uploaded like literally right after we come off the stream. It will be up on the YouTube within an hour or so. It takes a little while because we're typically uploading about 3-hour videos to the YouTube. So it takes a little bit of processing for the Twitch and the YouTube to sync up with each other or to upload. So yeah, just definitely follow us on the YouTube. You know, it's there's going to be a lot of improvements and a lot of upgrades coming over as we move up towards our Kickstarter. You know, it's we were about a year ago is when we tried our first Kickstarter, when we kickstarted last March, right when the pandemic hit, and that pretty much knocked us out. And then we were trying for another window in October, and you know, it was getting up against pandemic and election stuff, and that just wasn't the right time. We're hoping the early part of the spring, once people get vaccinated and everything, that you know, it's going to do a lot better. But the benefit that we have now when we kickstart is we're going to have the game completely done, or at least for phase 1. And the hope, I mean, and our hope is that we sell this game out and then some, because you know, all the capital that we are going to be bringing in from the Kickstarter is going to go immediately into creating phase 2 of the game, or creating the first expansion. So, and we haven't really thought much about the expansion except for little stuff here or there. We haven't really developed it much. You know, we've got some ideas for some new sort of cards and new things to do with the game. But you know, we're mostly just focused on this first Kickstarter at the moment. So yeah, so like, we're trying to make all of the cards like work together. At least, you know, that's my goal as the artist behind it, is to make all of the cards work together. And yeah. All right. So this card is going to be really, really cool because there's, let me get another layer on here. All right, so the idea with this card and trying to capture this pose is a spell was cast onto him, and he's playing the shake-up card, or the shake-up card helps remove spells that get attached to you. So this is one of my favorite cards. So the idea is the entangle spell was cast onto this character. So basically, entangle is here's the entangle card. So basically, this tree cast like encompasses the person and makes them unable to move. They can still hit and they can still cast spells, they just can't move. So it basically takes away the maneuverability of one of the players. But with the shake-up card, rather than spending the attack value to dispel this card off of you, you can use the shake-up card to take off any attachment to you. And the idea with this card is this tree, the branches and all of it, the spell shattering away. So he's shaking off the tree. All right, Kyron, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Enjoyed having you on board. Always a pleasure having you here. You've been with us since the beginning. So, oh yeah, that's right. I'm on another layer. So, basically, there's going to be this tree part. It's kind of sketching where it's going to be. It's sort of that canopy breaking away. And then so what I'm doing is just kind of sketching out how the energy is. Like, this is going to be an explosive card. All right, just imagine this tree that was these vines and this tree that like formed and wrapped around his body, just busting away and him busting out of it. So it's trying to capture that feeling. I'm really trying to make the expressions on these cards very, very dynamic and where you can feel it. So for anybody who's interested, I do use Photoshop, and I am drawing on a Wacom Cintiq. Why would I want to become famous? That would just bring me more work. I want to relax. Famous is overrated. You know what you get with fame? Trolls. I know you're just a robot, but I couldn't help myself. It's funny. It's when I first started painting, and about 20 years ago, and then about like 4 years into that, when I felt like, wow, I really have got something. The ideas of being famous for what I did, I have to admit, came to the front because, like, I was coming up seeing the likes of Alex Gray out there, and I was like, yeah, I want to be like that. And, and like, it's like a form of inspiration, and like, I want to be famous. I want to be famous. But then as I went further along with it, and I started to observe people, like gotten to know people that I like considered famous and got to be friends with them, and realizing that, like, you lose like it can become it becomes exhausting, because then, you know, you lose the magic of what you're trying to do because you focus, because like it's like a monster that you have to keep feeding, and it can be exhausting. Not that I'm really, I don't consider myself a famous person yet, and but like I can only imagine, just like, you lose a sense of privacy a little bit. And I'm a very like, I like my solitary space to be, I like my space to be safe, I guess. Was that Queen song "Who Wants to Live Forever"? That's just not my style. I mean, what do you think out there? Um, would you A, want to be famous, or B, live forever and not be famous? I don't know. That's a really weird poll question. Just what are your thoughts about fame and living forever and being immortalized? I mean, it sounds wonderful, but I kind of look at it like stalking. It's like, the problem with the fantasies of having a stalker is you never get the stalker you dream of. Stalkers are scary business. Well, I am enjoying y'all's company on this Sunday morning. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, but it's got to be done with the sense of sort of mindfulness and awareness, and doing it for the right reasons, I would think. I mean, I think the problem with fame is too many people are doing the fame for the, like, to be famous. But the people that are truly famous don't ever really seek it. It sort of finds them. So it's like a weird game. But it's like with anything. It's just mindfulness is the important factor there. I mean, if we want to go, you know, like talking with Alex Gray a lot about this, and the especially in his situation with the fame, you got to worry about, like, one of the dangers is having and what they call it, like, when you're famous, you end up with a fan base, and having that fan base get cultish. I mean, there's always the risk of that. It's what is what is the intention behind the person that you are seeing as famous? Are they famous just as a product of what they are doing, or are they doing what they're doing so that they can be famous? What is a good example of somebody's fame has created in a shift in humanity or consciousness? What is an example of somebody's fame who has done that? Yeah. He does. Yeah, the Dalai Lama is probably like the figure that I look up to the most in the world right now. Brene Brown is amazing. That reminds me, I need to tune into her again. It's been a little moment. I've loved her TED Talks and I love listening to her podcasts. I need to check her out again. Um, yeah, like the Dalai Lama, here's the thing: is the Dalai Lama was born into the fame. He, he's the supposed reincarnation of this figure, and but you can tell his authenticity just in his actions, and that you know he doesn't do things because of that fame. He does things because of his responsibility of the Dalai Lama. Gudrun, Deepak Chopra, Alex Gray. I would definitely put Alex Gray in this Alex and Allison Gray in this category. They're definitely using like their position that has brought to them, like, yes, they've become famous and they're using that fame to help make a shift in humanity. The Dalai Lama is using the fame to create a shift in humanity. But we gotta be careful though. Like, we need to make sure that the big shift is a positive shift, because I don't want to necessarily invoke Voldemort, but like, you can look at the way that Trump is using his fame and the way that he has always used the fame of his name for personal gain. So this is a sort of antithesis of what we're talking about, is what we just experienced over the past 4 years, you know? So it's, the hard part about it though is you gotta experience like, sometimes it's like you got to experience have a bad experience with a cult to understand how cults work. That's true. Well, I mean, it depends on how we're defining shift. It's a shift, but not a positive shift. It's a negative shift. Yeah, shift in terms of upgrading. But but here's a problem with the word: is you're using that definition for the word. Somebody else might see the definition of the word shift in a different way and not put that aspect on that word. That's where language gets very, very difficult. But I hear what you're saying. We definitely need positive shifts. No, thank you. No, thank you for this. Thank you for this. This is what I like to kind of get into, and this is what I need practice with, and you are helping with that. Life is a practice, and no matter how uncomfortable it can be when you're beginning with it, you know, I sometimes cower in fear for being able to talk about my ideas, because I feel I'm going to sound like a fool, or I'm not going to be eloquent, or I'm going to say something the wrong way. I've gotten into so many problems where I've said things the wrong way because I've spin definitions in like, I'll give you an example. I had a friend a long time ago, maybe about 10 years ago, and we were just having this really, really great spiritual discussion. And we all of a sudden got into like a heated argument. And we were like, our like intensity was increased, you know, our voices were raised. We weren't shouting, but we were getting frustrated with each other. And we stopped. We caught it. And we traced it back in our conversation. And what had happened was it all came down to the way that we were defining the word monk for ourselves individually. And so, because like the word monk was used in the discussion, and in my mind, and I'm the one that had used the word monk, in my mind, I was envisioning a Zen Buddhist monk, which is very, very playful, has a love for life, is very like more sort of happy oriented, prankster, joking, you know, life is a game, enjoy it type of monk. And the person I was talking to had a Catholic monk of in their mind and was spinning the word in an oppressive mode. And because of that discord in our definition for the word monk, that was the seed that caused our discord in our conversation. And it was a very, very powerful learning experience. That like I mean I use that as an like to express this as like it was like wow, we were getting fisticuffs over a definition of a word. And, you know, and it's like that mindfulness and that awakening to the fact that we were doing that and that we didn't realize that we were doing, because like so many like and times you get into a heated debate, it's really because you're carrying different definitions. You and the person you are with are carrying different definitions. So it's like always like to make sure that when somebody says something or uses a word that causes my heart to skip a beat and like raises my blood pressure, I ask them to define that word, so that I make sure that we're on the same page with what they're trying to convey and what I'm like so that we stay on the same page. But you know, that's that mindfulness that I'm speaking of. You know, like the Dalai Lama and the Brene Brown, you know, like has this mindfulness when they're speaking to know that words are tricky little bastards. Um, my intention in this creation, are you talking about the game or this one specific piece of artwork for the game? I do have an intention in my artwork behind the game, what I'm trying to express. Um, it's this game has been a challenge to sort of like my Buddhist mindset. Oh, absolutely. You know, and it's like that little tiny act with somebody of one, by asking somebody to define something, and you got, you know, like you're one letting them know that you're listening and you're paying attention and you're engaging them, but two, you're making sure that you're on the same page with them and you're not throwing like an illusion or a fantasy on what they're saying and going in your mind into a parallel universe. And you know, it helps with that engagement and that connection, and allows that person to feel more comfortable in expressing themselves, and the walls don't go up. The challenge is it's a fighting game, and in my like I'm having in my older age like as I'm getting more sort of wiser and like I'm becoming more like Buddhist minded and very mindfulness about expressing aggression and fighting and you know, like one of my biggest problems with media today is like I kind of, and I do it in the way that I caption my artwork, where I'm envisioning a world behind our current fetish for the apocalypse, is I'm kind of done with apocalyptic energy, but there's always going to be like difficulties in the world. There's always going to be aggression that we have to balance in the world. You know, there's always going to have to be a sense of defending oneself. You know, that's a part of life. You know, it's like, how do you separate the like everyday struggles from making them apocalyptic or making mountains out of molehills? You know, I want my artwork to always be positive and not like I'm doing a fighting game. It's a fighting tactical game. It's like, at least in the window of martial arts, where there's a sense of mindfulness to it and a sense of awareness between the everyday necessities of struggles in life and then the the fight with the ego-oriented apocalyptic mentality. You know, so it's that struggle between that. Like, we made a conscious decision in the beginning of this artwork to not show blood. It's like there is a fine line there where we are not showing blood. We are not going to cross that line because there's too much sensationalism that starts to creep in, and there's too much negative energy that starts to creep in, and we want to aim this towards a more younger audience. Like we want this to be an all-encompassing audience. You know, we want this to be a game that can bridge generations. So we got to be open-minded that there are going to be like teenagers and preteens that are going to be playing this game. So, you know, the intention behind it is, you know, keeping it sort of mindful. It's looking at martial arts as a means of creating the tools to be able to navigate the intensity of the creation that we exist within, to be able to protect ourselves. So yeah, I mean, that's the mindfulness intention that I keep in the back of my mind for this game. And the idea for this game that we have, and like in my mind, it says Arcane Arena, which gives you a sense of it being in the past. But in my mind, I see this game in the future. And I know this is just a little twist that I'm playing on the artwork, where I am right now is the Arcane. This fetish for the apocalypse is the Arcane idea, like, you know, and to evolve beyond that into a more sort of balanced society. And where I see the arena is somewhere about 800 years in the future, where there's already been a collapse of civilization, but but nations have risen up again. But the nations that have risen up again because of that fall into the apocalypse has come back with a sense of inclusion and diversity, and it's a world that is together, not isolated. That finally comes up. And where our current Arcane Arena is that the future leaders of each of these nations come together in this Arcane Arena, so that all of the leaders of all of the different nations from childhood upward are interacting with each other to keep a sense of balance in the society across the globe. So like that's what I'm playing. Like, if you're familiar with solar punk, I'm without calling this solar punk, I'm kind of parallel following the ideas of solar punk. Solar punk is a response to steampunk, which was a response to the goth punk scene. So solar punk is being mindful that your life's path follows in line with a balance of your environment, with both nature, the environment, and your society that you live in. And all of the technology is advanced, futuristic, like space future, but all of the technology that is portrayed has the intention of being in line with balance to nature and in the environment. So that's my intention behind the artwork for this game. I'm really loving the energy of like it's really rough. You see the green circles up at the top and like these rounds, not these brown, just sketchy lines, but just from that I get this really nice energy of this tree exploding, which I'm really loving. And thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning. You're helping me realize what my intention for this channel and what I'm doing, or like my Sunday mornings is I want to create a place where people are Sunday mornings drinking their coffee. They can come, they can, like, we can get into these deep philosophical expressions and like do it as like I'm doing it with the intention behind the artwork. And that's what I'm really aiming for with the it's, I'm not doing it for the fame. I'm doing it because my artwork, the intention behind my artwork as an artist is I had these like mindful, spiritual, physical, emotional experiences that I'm trying to understand through my artwork. And, like being able to express that with my artwork and somebody else picking up with it and using the artwork to be able to talk about the very difficult things that we can't talk about with words, because the words, like monk, like I have a different word for definition for monk, and then somebody else has a different definition. But if we have a picture of the type of monk that I'm talking about, like let's say, let's pull this one up. Like for example, your profession, exactly. And this is why I've always like been mindful about what I want my artwork to be about. To me, that's what it's about. That's what the creative energy is, healing energy. And as musicians and artists and creators, we are healers. We are healing the world. We are creating new world out of the pain and the suffering, and we're transforming it into a higher expression. But like, for example, like if I was discussing with my friend and I used the word monk with this picture, there would have been no discord, and she would have known exactly what I was meaning. Well, I mean, creation, you can't have creation without the intention of healing. I mean, creation, like if we go down to the primal aspect in our old stories of how the world was created, creation came about as a form of healing the loneliness of God, or the creator, like wanted. Like the idea is like, okay, this creator was alone and decided that they had the ability to create creation as a way of healing that loneliness. How I know you do it with music. Like what's an example of how using your music, you've used that as the vehicle for expressing a very, very difficult concept to somebody. But that's what our jobs are, is to get people in tune with it by just being it, and then getting people in sync with our vibrations, and yeah, we can't bring everybody into our vibration, but our responsibility are for those that get attracted to the little, like in the hermit card in the tarot, the little lantern of ourselves that we express, that bring people into it in sync with our vibration. Yes, exactly. Exactly that. That was such a beautiful, beautiful expression of that. Oh my God. I think I listened to that. I literally listened to that on repeat for about an hour. I just had it going in the background while I was working around my house. So, and but like you're right, it's so hard bringing people into this that are out of tune with this, and that's one of the difficulties I've had with my Twitch channel over the past year is, you know, nobody cares. That's the hard part, is like, it's not that they don't care, it's just they don't know. There's no precedence in their life. Like, why would somebody want to come watch me do artwork on my Twitch channel on the internet? But then they go and they just flip through their Facebook feeds rather than leaving that stream of consciousness and going into a more engaging stream of consciousness on the Twitch, where you're like, you know, in real time with that person. Um, I will do that. Let me be right back. I need to take a quick break because I need to do a quick potty break, and I will be back. And I'll come back in and I will talk about the Hermit card. And from that, we can also talk about what my next project after this first round of Arcane Arena is going to be, where I'm going after this spring. So I'm going to be right back. I will be right back. All right, I am back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up the Hermit card real quick so we can take a look at it on screen. All right, so here's the Smith Rider Waite version of the Hermit card. I'm also going to bring up my favorite version of the Hermit card. All right. Absolutely. And it's and to be my like the hard part that I had was it's just like I figured like I had a huge like on Facebook I have a large like over 10 years amass about 18,000 followers on my Facebook page, you know, which is a really decent number. Um, you know, being able to translate that audience into Twitch, I think 3 people followed me in the beginning when I moved, when I tried to make that switch. And it was it was heartbreaking. It's like but it also opened me up to how much of a prison Facebook has become to people where you know, if you've ever seen the movie 1984, the scene where he's sitting at the computer and he's scrolling through the images, I mean, that's Facebook. Facebook is literally the manifestation of 1984 right there. And you know, you're scrolling through the news stories, you know, and the news stories are evolving because like, you know, because like everybody's changing the news stories that they go and they don't you know, it's crazy. But you know, it's working. It's over the year, it's taken the year to start to get people aware of it, because like you can't just tell somebody and expect them to jump. And I think the idea, or like the number that is like rule of thumb number, is you need to get people to see it 8 times before they jump at what you're trying to profess. So you know, I've learned to not worry about the people that aren't making the leap that we're talking about, and I'm focusing on the people that are making the leap and being there and keeping the space for them that are trying to be into a more interactive environment than just being on Facebook. And you know, I've helped facilitate and guide about 3 or 4 people into the Twitch streaming world, which has been really awesome to watch them blossom and watching their channels grow. You know, and boosting each other. But I'm going to bring it into the Hermit card because it's sort of what the Hermit is about. It's the Hermit. We tend to look like the Hermit as a person that self-isolates themselves, but that's sort of like the card in their detriment. This card when it's in its detriment. The Hermit really represents, and on the left side, I've got the Smith Rider Waite version, and on the right side, I love the Robin Wood deck just because it's a little bit more pagan oriented and with some more pagan imagery. But her card is on the right, and it's the deck that I really connect with the most and I read with. But the hermit is not a person that necessarily isolates themselves. The hermit is the person that has excelled in a certain direction of human consciousness and got to the point where they're ahead. They're at the top of the mountain, and they're sitting there and they're looking back, and they realize, oh my God, I've gotten to the top of this mountain. And they turn back and they see other people coming up the mountain. And what they do as a guiding light, they put out the lantern to help people coming up behind them on this path that they just blazed through. So that's how I look at the hermit. The detriment is when like the card is in reverse or in a negative spin, or the planet that or a sign that guides it is in its detriment, where you're self-isolating out of pain, you know, and wanting to do that. But I see, like, being on Twitch, it is kind of hermetic, because when I first jumped onto Twitch, I was hours and hours and hours broadcasting just to myself. I was okay with it because I was practicing, and I knew that I sucked, and I was going to be boring, but I knew that I needed to go through the boring stages to get to the more exciting aspects of me being able to do this, to being able to be comfortable doing it. What's your perspective of the hermit? You know, and I guess what connected you to the hermit card when I mentioned it? And I'm gonna turn this one off, and then I'm gonna just keep this one sort of up here a little bit. So I kind of get back to this. Streaming sometimes when you're beginning feels very much like the hermit card. Yeah, me too. The I relate to the hermit card greatly. You know, because I feel like sometimes with my thinking and my thoughts, especially when I was younger in high school, and like it was very awkward because I got into a lot of progressive rock, and a lot of the thinking and lyrics and music and progressive rock is very sort of conscious, very sort of out there concepts, especially for somebody that's like entering high school. And it put my mind, and that along with Dungeons and Dragons, and put my mindset very sort of like, in a sense, it almost felt like in a sense of isolation where everybody else in high school was. So I was at least able to interact and not necessarily feel like I needed to isolate myself. But there was always this discord in my high school days where, like, I felt like I could still relate with everybody, but then there was a part of me in my mind where I felt like I was alone growing up, and was able to alleviate that with some friends. You know, being in like the band and the choirs and in the art scene in high school helped with that also. But you know, I've spent a lot of time alone in contemplation with my own thoughts, and I've gotten very, very comfortable with myself being there. And so yeah, the Hermit card is something that I really, really relate to. It also takes me up to my next project after when Arcane Arena is done, and I've got the artwork done for this spring. My next big project is I'm actually going to be doing 2 tarot decks. I'm doing 2 tarot decks. The first one is going to be a re-envisioning of the Smith Rider-Waite deck. And I love the simplicity of the way that she illustrates the symbolism. So it's basically going to be a Smith Rider-Waite deck, but in my style. And I'm going to like use that as a way of studying the deck. And from that, when I'm finished with that, I'm going to use that and then go into re-envisioning the deck in my own way and creating my own visions of the different cards. So, if that makes sense. You know, like the first one will be a study of the Smith Rider-Waite deck in my own voice, creative voice. And to be able to use that as a way to be able to gateway people into my style and how I use my artwork to express things and how I'm using it to express. And it's kind of, it'll be like the Rosetta Stone, you know, and where I'm using my expression of the Smith Rider-Waite to be able to know, let people know how my visual expressions are going to be coming across in my own deck. And that let that be the bridge for people understanding, so that there's no like with words, the cards have different meanings to different people. It's just that first expression of the deck will be able to help people align them, like clarify people with what I'm meaning in my expression on my own personal deck. And they would need both of them. And then there might be a third expression of the deck where I completely explode everything in a certain ways. But I still have 10 years of personal experience with that one. That one's 10 years down the road. So whew, need a little bit of water. I also, like in my break, I went and got my water. I try to be very mindful and drink 2 of these a day. And 2 of these a day is 8 glasses of water, or at least, unless that's changed, I try to get at least 8 glasses of water every day. And it's really funny on Twitch, because people will get into their streams so much on Twitch that they'll have like little reminders that pop up in their chat room to remind them to hydrate. I wonder if that so it's interesting. Same here. I'm one interested in seeing what I create, because it's always new to me when I'm doing it. But I'm interested to seeing how you create moving forward. I like to believe that we are all creators in training, and it's interesting. Like if you ever like dive deep into the Mormon religion, like one of the core tenets of their belief structure is that as a Mormon, every Mormon, when a Mormon dies, you get your own universe. And in that universe, you are the creator. So every Mormon that is on the planet right now is a creator in training. So, or at least that's the mindset that they have underneath their religion. I like that aspect of Mormonism. I like I like studying all of the different religions and picking the pieces that I'm like, yeah, that's the universe. I want that in my universe. I want that idea in my universe. I like the Mormons' view of the afterlife, and I like you know, I like Buddhism. Is like Islam. I really like their understanding of idolatry, except when they make the non-idolatry an idol itself, where it gets fanatical. But they're very mindful of not of the danger of things becoming idols, and you know, I like being mindful of that. But so the hope is this is all gonna this artwork is gonna be done in the spring. So I'm gonna be here every Sunday, working on Arcane Arena through the spring, and then when it's done, I don't know. I'll probably change into my next project for the Sunday mornings. Yeah. Um, Perfection is the enemy of the good. I think that's Voltaire. Um, I like being in a world where it's okay for me to make mistakes. Um, and, to be able to adjust and evolve from those mistakes, because that's creation, like evolution, creation through evolution. Um, Creation is an evolving process. I think that's one of my biggest like oppositions to a lot of monotheistic creation stories, is the idea of a perfect creator, or a creator having to be perfect. And it leaves no it's a static universe. That's a static universe. It leaves no sense for movement forward. And we need to breathe, we need to evolve forward. Preach! I am in the Bible Belt. No, I like, just a quick, that brought me up. Preaching brought me that said telling me to preach brought me up of a beautiful art project I came across at Burning Man. I think it was in 2013 or 2014. And it was called Church Trap. The art project was called Church Trap. CHURCHTRAP. And basically, it was this little art exhibit that was out in the playa at Burning Man. And somebody built this structure. Now, I want you, in your mind, think of in the old sort of ways where kids were taught to build a trap for squirrels, where you create a box and you put a little stick under it, and you put bait underneath the box with a little string to the stick, so that when the squirrel comes in to take the bait, you pull the stick and the box comes down. So somebody took that idea, but the box was the building of a church, and it was being held up by an I-beam. And so you basically had, let me see if I can pull a picture of it up. That would probably that would help. So yeah, here's Church Trap. All right, and so you can kind of get the idea. And with Church Trap, the whole thing was there were all of these pews set up with a little podium at the front. And if you had something that you needed to rant, just get off of your chest, to just scream about, things that you just needed to get out and get up, and you just needed to preach to the universe, you can get up to the podium and you can just do it. And the whole idea was everybody that was in the audience was there just to cheer you on. And they're just like, it was awesome. You just got up there and you just screamed and everybody was going, hallelujah. So it was awesome. Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. and then they burned it. Though you can't see that. Let me see if I can. Yeah, and then they burned it. It was such, you know, that's one of the things I love about going to Burning Man. It's just stuff that's like that, and that you find. You know, I mean, we're talking, like we were talking earlier about you going like me going off to Twitch and starting something that's not Facebook, and people that are just trapped into the Facebook feeds, and like going to Burning Man and being able to experience that. But then most people in the media get the visions of, Burning Man being a drug-infested orgy, and that's how, and wild, crazy, blah, blah, blah. And that's not what it's really about. It's really about being able to create those spaces for you to be able to, get these things that you need to get out of yourself in a safe environment, and express yourself in a safe environment and not get trolled, or somebody that's telling you that you're an idiot for thinking that, or an idiot for saying that. Being able to have these moments of creation where we can make those mistakes, because it's through the mistakes that we learn, like Bob Ross, little happy accidents. I'm an artist that works through layers. So like when I'm starting to lay out my artwork, I get it's very expressive in the beginning, and I'll just add layers on top of layers. I don't know if you remember, if you were tuning in last week I was talking about relics in my artwork and what relics are. And I work through my artwork with layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. And sometimes I'll work on something with a layer and I don't know what, I'm like, why did I do that? But it came out. I regurgitated it. I threw it up. And I threw it up onto the drawing. And I left it. And I leave it. And then as it comes across layers, some layers get deleted. Some layers remain. Sometimes I'll erase a layer, but then I don't erase all of the layer. And there are these little things, these little fragments that come through where they end up becoming seeds for very happy accidents on future layers. And I call them relics. And they're like these little tiny little things that accidentally don't get removed, and they still evolve and they percolate upward through the layers. And then they become a very, very loud statement in the art piece. Or they can just become muted. And they just become subtle little effects and texturing. And, it's a very wabi-sabi approach, if you're familiar with wabi-sabi approach to artwork, where you let the little defects, you let the accidents percolate through your work, and they become an aspect of your humanity, an aspect of your humility. and you take it and you wear it. We have a saying down here in the South, in the South in Georgia, where we don't hide our crazy. We take our crazy and we put it up on our front porch and we make it dance. I don't know who's the person that said that. It's a quote from somebody, and I'm paraphrasing it, but make it dance. Make it dance for you and give it life and make it an expression of that life, and it's yours. So, and we're trained in this perfection world, of this commodification world where everything needs to be so perfect. The movie needs to be perfect. Star Wars needs to be perfect, or oh my God, everybody's gonna get a tantrum going, you know? And it's just like, are you familiar with the band Yes? They were a prog rock from the 70s. Are you familiar with the band Yes? They're one of my favorite bands of all time. But I think I used to be in I do music. I was in a band for a while. And one of our sort of band outings, we went to go watch this was maybe 2002, 2003. And Yes was doing a lot. They were doing and experimenting with a live stream to movie theaters to promote a live album of theirs that was coming out that was supposed to be a biography of the band. And they were going to do they did a live concert stream, which you can go watch at an AMC theater. So we went and watched in the theater, and it was great. You see it up on the big screen. But if you're familiar with I've Seen All Good People, that song, All Good People, probably one of their most epic, most well-known songs. So they get up to do it, and John Anderson freezes. He completely forgets the words to their one of their most archaic, their most sort of epic anthematic songs. And he's just sitting there live being broadcast to everybody and forgets the words to his own song. Like, he basically forgot the entire first verse and then finally came back in the chorus and then found himself again. But just watching him be able to play that, and I'm like, that's a master musician. To be able to take the wobbies, be able to take that imperfection and just make it adorable and inviting and like embrace the humility and make you love that person even more and respect that person more as an artist. That was so and to be able to experience that and okay, if he can do it, I can do it. And so now whenever I make up a mess up, it's I have that as an anchor into reality rather than losing it and just losing my energy and vibrating downward into a downward spiral, but using my accident to spiral upward. So it's all these happy memories. And that's the other thing I love about doing these Sunday morning things and having these conversations. I remember things that I forgot about. So we're all just experiencing this together. All experiencing it together. So I'm probably going to go to about 12. I'm going to go for about another 30 minutes or so. And I really appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm enjoying this conversation immensely. It's really why I do this. And it ties back to our conversation about fame and people jumping off of Facebook because they're not understanding the intention. because they're thinking I'm like, I'm making this post, come watch me paint. It's like, does this person just want me to come watch them paint? No, I want you to come and have a conversation with me. You know, I'm not doing it so that I can show you how great an artist I am. Look at me. I mean, like, is this great? No. This is just the beginning, you know, to like, it's rough, it's raw, it's raw chaotic energy. But just you know, to come get in out of the streaming news, the Facebook feed, and into a more engaging form of expression and communication, and have fun, and just like, and and the thing is, all it takes is getting a cup of coffee, relaxing at your desk, or you can even be watching it on the couch, but like, or you can be watching it at your desk doing whatever you're doing and just having that up in the background. You can be cleaning your house and having this up on the background on your TV. Is that much more entertaining and much more engaging than a Facebook feed? It's crazy. I'm going to do a little bit of cleaning here of this sketch and kind of clean up the line work a little bit. Yeah, it's one of the most surreal learning experiences, is learning how to appreciate the awkwardness of starting out with something. The awkwardness of learning how to do something new and being vulnerable and in the face of humility with it. And how much it, like, how much those, like, just having an afternoon where you just have a sense of humiliation on the internet a year ago becomes such an anchor into reality moving forward, where in that moment in time a year ago, it wasn't that much of a deal, but having the next humiliating experience and having that anchor, like, oh, well, I've got through it before. I've got through this before. And John Anderson got through this before, you know, and watching Alex Gray go through it, you know, watching Alex Gray in 2005, 2006, 15 years ago, like really starting to get used to moving into public speaking and seeing, like you can tell that it was new to him, but he was embracing it and he was pushing through it. And, you know, there was a sense of nervousness in his voice as he was getting used to it. And then listening to him now, 15 years later, like being able to just control an interview and control being live and on camera, and him and Allison together, and then watching them evolve and grow and become better at it over the course of 15 years. You know, like it's the metaphor of realizing that art isn't something that you're supposed to go to a museum, like you go to a church on a Sunday afternoon and be quiet and just look at it in awe and like spiritual reverence to and bow down to. You know, art is to be experienced, you know, and so many generations upon generations have not had the ability to engage artwork like we do in this information world. And you know, like trying to explain to somebody, why is this piece like something that seems very, very simple, and it's like a you know, expression of just line works or geometrical colors or whatever, or something that somebody will say, why is this art even here? Well, it's not about that art being there. It's about what that artist was doing in the time that they were creating that, and what movement they were emulating, and what they were trying to express in that piece, and how they grew from it in that piece, and how all of the different mistakes and things that led up to this sort of masterpiece in this moment. And you don't get that Like you didn't get that 20, 25, 30 years ago, but you get that now. Ah, I'm getting hungry. I'm definitely going to stop it. Like my goal is to do this from 10:30 to 12:30. I'm going to probably have to head out at 12:30 to get some food. Hmm. Yeah. It's the gifts. The gifts are what is important in life in every situation. Um, we were talking a little bit yesterday about what I was going through a year ago. You know, the gifts are what helped me get through difficult situations. Like if I'm going through a difficult situation or a difficult transition in my life, it's all of these things that I've talked about, these little humiliating experiences that give you the strength and the courage and the anchors and the grounding to, step up onto and grow from. Um, what are the gifts this trying experience? What is the gifts that this catastrophe is bringing into my light? And let those gifts be the vessel to carry me through to the next station and and use it to get out of the trying experience as quickly and as swiftly as possible and just flow with the current, through the chaos, and entropy, and get back to that island of stability. God, thank you for being here. You're helping me develop this is helping me develop the language that I want to use on these streams, and it's valuable. Every moment that you're here is valuable, and I'm very grateful for you. All right. Start pushing some of this color downward. That grace comes through the awkwardness. I, I've I love pieces of creativity, music, dance, and artwork, and especially in performance work, artwork, where the artist has the ability to take that awkwardness in their performance and start their performance out in an awkward state, and then be able to portray the evolution into their mastery, and be able to illustrate that into like and the transformation, and the transmutation of all of that. I love pieces of art like that. So right now what I'm doing is I'm not necessarily thinking about the perfection of the final image here. I am just like getting the expression, getting the color, getting everything onto the scene. I know that there's going to be his outfit. It comes like this. And then outlined in yellow. So I don't quite know how I want the outfit to flow. So there's sort of like, it's like multiverse. It's like there's like, okay, it might be here, it might be there, but it's mostly in this vicinity. And then there'll be purple that comes along here like this. This yellow is probably going to push out a little bit more and get twisted up. With the belt, this belt going this way. A little bit of this color in the shirt, but it's going to be a little bit dirty. Oops. So I'm just going to smudge it up a little bit and make it dirty. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Get some pigment on here and then push it around. So yeah, my whole approach to doing digital artwork, which is a little bit different than what I've seen other people be doing it, is I'm approaching it the way that I do my oil painting, where I just throw stuff at the canvas and just let it find its place over time. And like all these lines where, okay, the edge of this might be here, the edge of this might be there, becomes a sense of movement as more layers get added up on top of it. I think that's one of the things that people don't understand about Picasso. And people look at Picasso and they're like his portraits that he did later in like if you look at like early on, Picasso was like a realist. And then when he got later on in life, it was all of this crazy stuff. Like why, like what makes this beautiful? But what people don't understand was that he was trying to portray those models across time. And he wasn't really trying to portray them perfectly. What he was trying to do was be able to capture their expression of their movement across the fourth dimension of time. So like he would draw a line with the models, and then he would move the models, and then he would draw the line with the models, then he would move the models, and like trying to capture movement over time. And once you realize that Picasso was trying to do that, then you're like, oh, and then it makes sense. But you don't get that from just looking at the artwork. You have to engage the artwork. Woo. Yeehaw. All right, this is where all the funny noises start coming out. I mean, when I start really getting into something, that's when I start getting into the flow, I start making really weird noises. Wee-hoo! Oh no, no, no. I have got a good book, and it's called Picasso and Einstein. And what it does, if you study art, like movements of art through history, and what that movement was pushing the boundary of expression of light and color and time and dimension and perspective on the canvas, a lot of the advancements in art preceded advancements that were similar in science. So this book, Einstein and Picasso, tried to illustrate the history of their upbringing and what was the intention behind what they were seeking in life, and portray that they were both looking for the same thing, to be able to express in a mental human expression for the fourth dimension, which is time. Einstein tried with mathematics to portray space-time, and Picasso was trying to portray space-time through painting. And that's what made him the genius that he was. Like the only other person that really tried to express that Like Cezanne tried to express it on a single canvas. Monet tried to express it, but he expressed it across different canvases like his haystacks. If you look at Monet's haystacks, he basically painted the same haystack on different canvases across different seasons of the year. Cezanne did the same thing with the same mountain, but I think he was the first person that did it on a single canvas, where he basically tried to portray this mountain across the seasons on a single canvas. And like Picasso just took it further. This is good stuff. You were bringing out the best in me today. This is the stuff that like I've lost. When I said I've lost touch with source, like the source of like my inspiration, you know, and I'm just trying to get back there to it. So yeah, so like what I just did, if you just saw how fast I just sketched this pattern out on here, it's not exact, but I'm trying to start like it ultimately, this is what this character's armor looks like, you know, but I'm not interested in painting it perfect right now, because if I did this type of detail work right now on this character, I would be doing it again and again and again. And then as an early artist, like early on in my life, I would do that. And then I ultimately, because of painting over things over and over and over again, I realized how to get loose and just be able, in the beginning of a piece, paint the expression of the piece. And then now I'm starting to get the outline of where this armor, this cloth armor is going to be. I can now take the detail work another level inward. God, it's so awesome. This is so awesome. So yeah, this character, I'll take you through this. This character first appeared on Entangle. This was the first card that this character revealed themselves to me. And a lot of this is like sort of like me peeking in the, like me coming to the approach of doing this artwork is like me peeking in like a fishbowl into this little world, into this arena, and it's just letting the characters reveal themselves to me as they felt comfortable. So this was the first card that they revealed themselves to me, you know, and then this is them getting punched in the face. And this ties into what I was saying about earlier, is like, I'm a peaceful Buddhist mentality, but I understand the necessity of martial arts approach to life, you know, that you're going to get hit. How do you take that hit? But then how do you portray the hit in artwork with like a sense of mindfulness? It's challenging. Then he appeared on Aimed Strike in action. And then he appeared on Shove, being thrown into the wall. And here he is on Tornado, casting Tornado onto another character that is revealing themselves. And then he's going to be on Shake Up. Yeah, it's learning to be I see myself as a medium. All right. As an artist, we are mediums of creative expressions or threads that they might not necessarily be conscious beings, but they are conscious intentions in the universe of threads that percolate. And they ultimately come through like in evolution as memes. Memes being the true meaning of the word, and of Richard Dawkins, who's an evolutionary scientist, coined the term memes, and then it just got traveled with just like how a conscious memes are a physical or conscious expression that evolves through mutations with the body and the form and through expressions of artwork. And memes then got associated with the term meme in social media as an evolving idea of expressing a difficult to understand idea with an image. And you know, you have memes that seem like they're forced intention and memes that are natural intention, where like you let it grow and evolve on its own. And it takes about 3 to 4 years of an artistic practice to learn how to let that go. And it's simultaneously with letting go of your ego and, you know, approaching the creative process the way that a parent, like a mother or father does, where you gotta leave the space for what you're creating to be able to be its own thing and its own expression. And that's hard to get to. That's like one of the first boss monsters that you got to fight becoming an artist. All right, time to add some more color. So yeah, you can see how rough I'm being, like with the drawing and the sketching. You know, I'm just looking in terms of color, light, and shadow at this point. I'm not really looking in terms of edges. Like that comes like that comes later in the process of, like, as you get deeper into the detail work about finding the edges of things without actually getting to that edge. But and then now what I'll do is, like, I put all of this color on here, and then I'll come with my smudge tool, and then I just smudge it up a lot, and just being very chaotic with it. You know, because I like the texturing that, like, ultimately I'm after is like some of the texturing of this looseness will, like, I like to let it shine through the layers, and it's what gives the emotion, the feeling in the piece. Not bad for a morning's work. That's looking really cool. I don't know what the background's going to be yet, but well, the background's good, like background. I mean, right immediately behind him is going to be this tree shattering. So there might be some branches here. All right, so let's do something fun. I'm going to go into a speckle brush. Actually, let's go into this first. So let's get some. Let's put some dark before the light. Dark before the light. Dark always. Oops, I'm going on top of something. Let's get you up on top. Oops. And that's what I love. I can just be like, I love working in layers because, like, I can just get chaotic like this, and I'm not messing up the drawing that's up on top, because, like, I can just take this guy. Oh, there he is. It's trying to portray explosion. And get some light in there. Chaos is my favorite thing to paint. I can just get so, I can completely let go into the chaos of things, into the chaos of the expression. Let's get a little bit of red in there. Probably going to be a little bit of red. All right. And now, well, no, not quite yet. We need to get, let's get a dappled light effect, but let's get some purple. Let's get some, oh, that's, well, actually, you know, that looks good too. Let's get some of that there, but now we want some purple. All right. And then maybe some dark areas. And this will probably, this is really just raw. I mean, a lot of this will probably, like, because then what I'll do is I'll come back over this, and then another cool thing is then just to come with a chaotic brush, eraser tool, and then just do chaotic. Like that. Smudge it up a bit. Let's get this big smudge tool on here. Let that catch up a little bit. I was going a little bit faster than the program can handle. Ooh, I drank my water too fast. Yep, there we go. I'm going to have to get a new computer soon. I'm maxing my computer out, and I got a pretty fast computer, but it's, well, it's already 2 years old. But I get this spring, the new laptops with the new processors are coming out, so I'm going to grab one of them. Time to get a new one. All right, so we need a little bit more darkness back in here. All right, now I think we're ready for the speckle. Hello, Mr. Speckle. Give me some speckle. Give me speckle. Speckle me. Speckle. Oh, I meant white, but we'll do purple. Go a little smaller. And then maybe some really big ones on the dark side. And then let's lighten it up. Let's go down to about 30%. And then red. Couple yellows. There we go. So that's a good start to it. It's a little too much, but I think what I'll do is I will, like, it's, oops. I painted it on the tree layer, so I'll have to fix that later, a little bit later on. Well, that's fine. Actually, no, we'll just, this is the explosion layer. And then what I'll do is I'll probably pull back a little bit as I go forward. Let's throw, I know what we need to do. Let's throw a new layer on here in the back. Let's drop a bottom on this. Yeah, right there. So let's see what red's gonna look like behind it. There we go. Yeah, I'm just playing with colors. Thank you so much for hanging out this morning. This has been perfect. Have a beautiful day, and I will catch up with you soon. And enjoyed last night, and love your company. Have a beautiful day. I'm probably gonna scoot soon too. Actually, it is. It's 12:30. I think I'm gonna go ahead and sign on out. Thank you so much for hanging out this morning. It's been amazing. I will see you next time. Love ya. Take care.